It wasn't until April or March 2016, about 7 months in to my senior year, that I really went in hard for Trump. And Trump, I would say, is the one who red-pilled me, quote unquote. He's
Out of all these guys, has Trump yet announced anything?
So he announced August 2015. So it was actually right around that time.
Got it. Okay, so you're there, you're getting into these debates in junior year, and then Trump announces, and then what do you do?
So after Trump announced, this is right around the time, he announced in June 2015. And so I was very political, obviously super engaged with the election. And at that time, so this was going into my senior year of high school, I had a radio show on the high school radio station and a TV show on the high school TV station. I did both. And one of my first shows I've ever done in my whole life was talking about the election. And that was a very crowded primary. It was like 17 candidates. I don't know if you remember back then.
Mm-hmm.
It was Trump and this huge
everybody,
field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was everybody. And so I went through all the candidates. And initially, I was very anti-Trump because I was a libertarian. So I was in it for Rand Paul and then Ted Cruz. And it wasn't until April or March 2016, about 7 months in to my senior year, that I really went in hard for Trump. And Trump, I would say, is the one who red-pilled me, quote unquote. He's
Out of all these guys, these are the guys we're looking at, right?
Right.
That was a Jeb Bush started with $140 million. He was supposed to win it. Carson had a little bit of momentum. Cruz was one of the guys that people thought could do something.
So he's talking about how Trump red-pilled him, and he's going to discuss, guys, in a second, how he saw the number one reason that Trump red-pilled him was that he was the only one speaking about immigration. And he noticed that the more immigrants are coming in, all these immigrants are voting left and democratically, almost 90% and more percentages when you look at these immigrants, because they perceive that the Democrats and the left are actually fighting for their issues, whereas the rights and the Republicans are actually against them. That's actually what red-pilled Nick Fuentes. And it's actually a great point, and I don't think anyone can disagree with him on this, to be honest with you. I don't think Destiny could actually make an argument against this.
Right.
Nobody thought Trump up until, I think, Ann Coulter's like, who do you think today's going to win? And she made the comment that I think is going to be Trump on Bill Maher. Everybody starts laughing.
Right.
Okay, so you're in this moment. Trump red-pills you first.
Yes. He red-pills me on immigration. Really, because at that time, I am preoccupied with this notion of individualism, very much like you. I mean, a lot of the stuff you say in your show, I agree with you 100%. I guess he reoriented my perspective about individualism, because what I started to understand is that, you remember, in 2015, it felt like the left was unstoppable. It felt like Obama and then Hillary Clinton were going to lead this progressive revolution, and it was just going to get more left every day forever. More pro-woman, more pro-gay, more diverse. And at that time,
it actually was. It was every single year America was getting more left-wing. Look at, for example, Title 19 getting passed in 2020. Title 19 literally regressed the laws in America to allow men into women's spaces. So you're literally, whenever the Democrats are in office, even when they're not, when they're pushing these policies that they fight for, you see that the whole country starts to shift in that kind of direction, that lefty direction. It's actually unbelievable to see it.
Was this kind of political chokehold the country was in. The media's left-wing, Hollywood's left-wing, the press is left-wing. And what woke me up about Trump is one day...
Not only the media and the left, it's the laws are left-wing. Title 19. Look at Title 19. The legal structure becomes more left-wing. You start seeing more... I'm not gonna become controversial, but basically, more violent crimes are going diminished. More robberies are being less prosecuted. You know, more immigrants are coming in illegally and are getting actual asylum cases. And even it was so bad that Biden had to slow it down so he can get reelected, because the immigration was such a big issue in America in 2020. He had to actually pass down Proclamation 10773, which forced asylum seekers who are coming in illegally to stop doing that. If you came in illegally and you're seeking asylum, it's impossible for you to get asylum if you came in illegally. And that was Joe Biden's own agenda in July of 2020. Knowing that he's about to lose the race, that was the final thing he tried to do, which is to try to put, virtue signal that the border, and he's going to be strong on immigration and borders. But basically what you see is in general, lefties are always removing and legally even reducing the liabilities that come with violent crimes. Maybe crossing the border and seeking asylum is not a violent crime, I guess. It is still a crime.
I was watching the primaries, early primary elections, and Trump
Why
was
did I
winning
get a
all of them.
spike
Won.
in
He didn't
views?
win the Iowa caucus, but he won in New Hampshire, won in Nevada, won in... And I remember the media
Got a spike in views. I don't know
was
what happened.
beside themselves, calling it every day for him. And I said, the one thing that Trump has right is he understands in order to take power, well, in order to do what you want to do, you got to take power first. In order to take power, you have to engage the media because the media is really the enemy. It's a very early kind of understanding of how politics actually works.
And
Media is
fake
really
news,
the
he hasn't
enemy.
even said fake
It's a
news
very
yet. So this is
early
putting him
kind
saying
of
fake
understanding
news.
of how
Maybe-
politics actually
And
works.
fake
Whoa,
news, he hasn't even
whoa,
said
whoa.
fake
It's a
news
very
yet. So this is
early
putting him
kind
saying
of
fake news.
understanding.
Sorry. So the thing I think that he's talking about here is he's mentioning, okay, he needed to fight against the media because the media was becoming increasingly more left-wing. And therefore, because they're increasingly more left-wing, now he's going against their momentum. And the momentum of all the... I mean, it's not only the media. You have to go against the momentum of the judges. You have to go against the momentum of the legislature. You have to go against the momentum of the Congress and the politicians. And then, yeah, you have to go against the momentum of the media, I guess. But the media is, like, not purposeful in this equation. I'm surprised that he cares so much about the media. Taco, I'm going to be here probably for another hour.
Exactly. But he would fight the moderators in the debates, even Fox News, because Roger Ailes had it out for him early on. And I said, he's going to fight the mainstream media. That's essential, because if you can't fight the media, you can't win. If you don't win, you can't do what you want. And then I thought about immigration and how it's affecting
That's why he believes
the voting patterns.
That's why he
because
believes...
I looked at one meme.
That's why he believes fighting the media was so essential, because he believes that it's the only way for you to win an election is you have to be able to beat the media. Interesting.
In 2016, and it said this is what the 2012 election would look like if only white men voted, if only men voted, if only... I'm sure everybody's seen it. And what became clear is that if only non-white people are voting, the country, they vote 90% left. Blacks voted 97% for Obama in 2008, in 2012. If immigration is making the country less white, and if non-white people only vote Democrat, Asians is like 75%, Hispanics at that time 70%, blacks 90%, I said it's clear where the country's going to go, what direction this is headed in. I said so, and the reason this is happening is because these people aren't assimilating. So before we can even think about individualism, the Constitution, et cetera, we got to take out the media, and by take out, you know, what I mean by that is you got to fight back, and two, you have to secure the border, because if the Democrats bring in all these illegals and legal immigrants, they're going to flip Texas, and that's the way it's going to go. And that was kind of the first realization. That's what made me say I'm all in it for Trump, even though ideologically I wasn't really with him just yet.
Because you're a libertarian at the time.
Right.
Right. Okay, I'm following. So now you're all in for Trump. He's the closest thing to a libertarian. I don't know. I don't think it was Joe Jorgensen, right? Who was a candidate at the time for
Gary
the libertarian?
Johnson.
Right. Yes, you're not going to go Gary Johnson, right? I think he got. Is he the one that didn't know the capital of a country? And I don't know what it was.
Yeah,
Something
Aleppo.
was. Yeah, that's what it was. And it's like, oh my God, this guy can't be in. And they moved on. That was an easy one for him. So you're in that moment.
Are you talking about the Syrian capital was Aleppo? No. That was... Or maybe they were talking about, is Aleppo the Syrian capital? Because Aleppo is not the Syrian capital. The Syrian capital is Damascus. This is hilarious.
I'm going to go all Trump. What happens next?
So I go all Trump, and
That's hilarious. So anyway, so he's Trump now. So now we know he's Trump. Now let's see what else does he notice.
a big Trump guy. I get my MAGA hat, and I'm all excited about it, and I volunteer for the campaign and everything. And so he wins the primary in the spring of 2016.
Okay.
Convention happens, I think, July 2016. I enter college at Boston University in September 2016. And this is the first time I've lived outside Chicago. I've lived in the same place my whole life. And it's important to impress upon you and maybe everybody like where I grew up. It's like this pocket of America that never changed. It's a baseball town. Everybody's white. Everybody's obsessed with baseball. Everybody's Catholic.
You know what? So it sounds like a Muslim community. Like Muslim communities next to mosques, they literally never change. They never assimilate. nothing ever happens with them. Their kids become really Americanized, but that community eats from the same restaurants that they always eat from. They never go out of their way for other avenues. They really don't change. They like live in their own kind of village centered living, you know? And I see a very, very big resemblance with a lot of Amish and religious communities. I believe they really don't change. They don't assimilate. They don't change with time. You don't see them. You see them grow, but you don't see them like buying from new places or eating new things. It's just pretty much the same thing that they've always been doing. They just go to pray, go work, pray, come back, do their own, take care of their kids, and then do it all over again the next day. And so maybe that's why things don't change in his community. Maybe they're like a religious and like old school community that loves this, you know, living in a naturalistic way, in tune with the divine, having spirituality where you still go to church. So when you are like that, when you're not stuck in the hustle and bustle of the city and the more modern lifestyle, running from one location to another trying to pick up a dollar or a dime, you really don't see change in your community. You really don't see assimilation into other avenues or other ways. It's the same food you're eating, it's the same structure you're living. Your days are pretty well organized, and there's not a lot of change. You pray on the same time, you go to the same location to pray. And I see that the only change that really happens is when you get into this modern structure of living, where you're hustling and bustling, trying to catch up with everything.
Catholic. So growing up, I'm going to CCD, which is like catechism class for Catholics. Everybody loves baseball. There's an annual parade where you go and eat hot dogs and play baseball. So this is a place that is untouched by, like I said, even though they're liberal, they're not even really progressive. It's untouched by the progressive politics, by a lot of the diversity, even the crime. It's safe, white picket fences. Take a trip down to Western Springs, Illinois. I mean, you'll see what I mean. It's like the land that time forgot. I go to college in Boston, totally different story. Boston's obviously super diverse. It's a lot of young people because it's all schools, it's all universities, and they're all from Asia, all foreign students, and they're all Chinese, they're all from these Asian countries. And there's also, it's a little dangerous. There's a little criminal element, and everyone on the campuses, they're militant left wing. And that was kind of a culture shock. And I kind of realized in that moment, most of the country looks like this now, actually. New York, LA, Miami, the big cities, and most people live in the cities, they all look like this because of immigration, because of left-wing progressive politics.
Now, my question is, what does he mean by militant? Because we see militancy in religious organizations as well, in groups. I mean, religious people look down upon you, they shame you, they stop you from doing things. They actually will interfere while you're doing the wrong thing. If you're kissing gay people in public, they're not going to allow you to do that. So what kind of militancy is he talking about? Because I see that as well in religious communities. So I'm trying to understand what's the difference. Because my understanding is he's trying to equate this. I'm trying to equate what he's saying to other organizations and other groups of people, seeing if that fits. With religious people, you see militancy if they're in a university and they are the majority of the university. They're not gonna let you kiss in public. They're not gonna let you, doing public displays of affection. They're not gonna let you step on their statues and desecrate their religious spaces and stuff like that. So if the lefties are doing that from that essence, I don't see anything wrong with that, because the religious people do it as well. So I don't understand what does he mean by militancy, because every group in the world is militant. Every group that has an essence that they care for is militant. Is he talking about like liberals were militant against my ideologies, which I understand to be pure and decent? I'm not understanding exactly what he means by militant.
And I kind of said, in that moment, my slice of America that I grew up with is a dying breed. It's literally going extinct. And
I think that's what he means. He's saying that they're militant against me, for example, praying. They're militant against having a church in college. They're militant against having a religious area to go and pray in. Is that what he means? They're militant against giving people breaks so they can go to pray on time. Is that what he means? Like, they're militant against my ideology, which I believe is a pure ideology. They're militant against my own religions and beliefs. Maybe that's what he means. If that's what he means, I understand that. But even then, I don't see liberals being that profound with it. Actually, they're proponents of safe spaces and you know, and mental health time. And so I feel like they should be able to give you an exemption for religious exemptions. They're very easy with going with that. So I hope that Nick Fuentes dives a little bit deeper on the militancy that he saw.
I like my upbringing. I love my upbringing. I want to, if I have a family, I want to raise my kids in a place like that. But in 50 years, will there be places like that? The country's going to become majority minority in the 2030s. So when I'm old and gray and I have grandkids, what is the country they're going to look like?
And you're questioning this. You're questioning, you're having this dialogue, you're asking yourself.
I'm not understanding, what is Nick Fuentes' biggest issue with the immigrants? Is it that my country is changing? Because if everyone's becoming Christian and assimilating, isn't that a great thing for Nick Fuentes? Like, wouldn't he celebrate that his Christian religion is growing, that his religious beliefs are being anchored with bigger groups that will make it militarily easy to defend? I'm not understanding where is his issue that these people are immigrants but they're totally anti my ideology, and that's what the issue? Because if that's the issue, and I believe that's what he's talking about, then that's a true concern to understand, to believe it. For example, as a Muslim person, when you start seeing your countries giving more areas are serving pig and pork to you, that's extremely demoralizing. You know, that's actually demoralizing. You're like, what the hell? I'm gonna go fight and die for a country that is out there serving pork and pig to randos? What the fuck am I doing to fuck this country? So I understand what he means. I just hope that he's a little bit more clear on this. And I believe that's what he's talking about. He's talking about these immigrants that are coming in are not assimilating to the religious culture that I believe in. Actually, they're trying to push me out of there. They're militarily, like they're actively trying to push me away from my ideologies and beliefs that I believe in. And we're bringing more of these people. And I believe that that is the change that is written on the wall. And I believe that's the change that will destroy our country. Anyways, let's